This visual, although not an accurate representation of how these resources are constructed in the Google Ads API, is a great way to visually demonstrate the entire asset group entity. Another way to think about this is the asset group entity versus the asset group resource. The asset group entity is composed of the asset group resource as represented in the Google Ads API and several other resource types that are linked to that asset group by reference. These include assets, which are linked to asset groups using the asset group asset resource, asset group signals, and asset group listing group filters. In this representation, I have nested each of these resources inside the asset group object. Now, in actuality, none of these fields are actually nested. And each item in each list is represented by a single resource in the Google Ads API. I'll get into more detail on each of these later. However, I thought this was a nice visual representation. For now, let's focus on assets and how they're attached to asset groups. As a bit of background, assets are units of shareable data such as images, videos, headlines, and descriptions that are used to construct different types of ads across multiple formats, such as display, YouTube, App Store, and so on. Each asset has a type of asset type, which is an enum in the Google Ads API. However, the asset type field is output only. You set the asset type by populating the asset data field, which is a one-of field. For example, here is how you would construct a text asset and image asset in the Google Ads API with the client library for Java. You may notice that this asset definition has no reference to the campaign it will be used in. That's because you don't associate assets with any ads or campaigns when you upload them. Instead, you upload your assets to an account level library that you can draw from when creating entities like asset groups. This is great for reusability across ads and campaigns. You can also use this to your advantage by uploading assets and creating PMax campaigns in separate requests to create a PMax management pipeline that is less error-prone. In light of this design pattern, we use a separate resource called an asset group asset to link assets to asset groups. And this is effectively a link between the two resources because each asset group asset includes both asset and asset group fields, which are populated with resource names. Another important field on the asset group asset resource is field type. This declares how the asset will be used in ads. If we look back at that JSON schema I showed you earlier, the field types or keys in that object are all of the asset field types. In creating asset group asset resources, we simply declare this field.